Welcome to the Dave Whitty Show. Your host, Dave Whitty. Episode 4 is here, folks. Thanks so much for tuning in. I hope everybody's had a great week. With regards to Newfoundland and everything that's been going on here, you know, we've been pretty locked down the last couple of weeks. We're definitely moving in a positive direction. We're moving forward. The case numbers are starting to gradually go down and the recoveries are starting to go up. So, I mean, really showing some positive signs here out on the East Coast. Big thanks to everybody who's been tuning into the podcast so far. I've been having a lot of fun doing them. It's really a new thing for me, you know, even just doing the podcast, but I'm also doing all the behind the scenes work where I'm cutting all these videos. I'm editing all the audio tracks. You know, I wrote the intro music and I cut all the videos and all that stuff. But it's a learning curve for me. It's been a lot of fun. I really got to say, you know, it's a new thing for me where, you know, just another way to be creative with that's not really involved with music. So it's, you know, it's been fun and something new. Big thanks to Ryan Sweeney coming on last episode. I mean, I had a ton of feedback from that. I think a lot of people in the community really enjoyed hearing something a little different. I, for one, definitely enjoyed having that conversation. I thought it was super interesting, you know, just to chat about something other than the arts. You know, I do love the arts, but I'm also a big sports fan. So, and I love supporting, you know, anybody who's local in the community, especially doing something like what Ryan's doing. You know, he started up the first indoor training facility here in Newfoundland. So, you know, kudos to everybody over at Premier Sports. This week's episode is absolutely hilarious, in my opinion. We have comedian Brian Aylward on. I spent the day yesterday chatting with him, not the day, sorry, but I was chatting with him for about, it's a good hour. The interview is a good hour long. Brian's a hilarious comedian. He's from Newfoundland. He was born and raised in Mount Pearl, just like myself. And he's been living in Asia for the last, you know, over a decade. And, you know, his story is really funny, how he got started. And Brian's a kind of he's a friend of mine. He grew up coaching my brother in basketball, and so I've known him for a number of years, and I've always just, you know, generally thought that Brian was so hilarious, and you know, he's been killing the comedy scene lately. Super funny guy. The interview, I think, is hilarious. Brian lives in Thailand right now. He's in Bangkok, Thailand. So I interviewed him yesterday morning here in Newfoundland time, and it was like 10 o'clock at night over there. He was out in his balcony, and we were just shooting the shit, having a laugh, carrying on about, you know, a few old stories. And he was kind of speaking about how he got started with comedy and how life has been, you know, during COVID. And we chatted a little basketball. Brian's a big basketball fan, and he played a bit of basketball himself in the U.S. and stuff like that. So it was really funny to chat with him about that stuff. I had a little break in the middle of the interview, you know. Not sure if it was my wireless connection or Brian's, or regardless, we had a little break. So, you know, bear with that. I mean, I just had to cut it and I had to restart. I had to redo it. Obviously, we were doing it over Zoom, and but the interview itself is absolutely hilarious. Brian's such a funny guy, and he really opened up chatting about, you know, the different things that he's been involved in and the projects that he's started up, especially in Korea. And man, this guy has just toured everywhere in Asia. Like it's mind-blowing how many places this man has played, you know. And on top of that, he's done, you know, a bunch of stuff in Canada and Newfoundland. He was in the Best Kind comedy tour with the guys from Newfoundland, and really great interview. I mean, if you're looking for an hour to kill, this is the way to do it, because I just thought it was so funny, and you know, it's definitely NSFW, maybe not suited for work or maybe around your young kids. There's definitely a few F-bombs in there, but I mean, it's a podcast and that's what it's supposed to be. So yeah, maybe this one's a little PG-13, but in other news, you know, I'm just kind of hanging tight. I did a live Facebook live feed there last Saturday night. Had a great turnout for that. A lot of people tuned in, and great comments and messages from everybody. I had a lot of fun. It's a weird thing with this COVID thing. You know, it's brought us back to doing these digital shows, but I, for one, have found a really bright light in those. I really enjoy them. I think they're a great way to connect with people, especially outside the province. Like, we're very lucky here that we had a summer and we got to play so much out, and you still get to see the people around in the community. But I mean, it's a great way for people who are also locked down in other parts of the world to be able to check you out and be able to say hello and that kind of stuff. So big thanks to everybody who definitely tuned into the live stream. You know, I'm once again really enjoying it. I'm going to do another one this weekend. I'm thinking I might do Friday this weekend. So yeah, stay tuned for that. That's going to be, a lot of fun again as well. Just kind of trying to break up a couple hours on a Friday or Saturday night and just play a few tunes for folks who are sitting back at home. Managed to pick up a few of the hockey games there the weekend. Once again, I'm a big hockey guy, and I was really loving the way the hockey is going this year. The Leafs played the Habs on Saturday. It was a great game, obviously. Monday past, we just played the Flames and lost. I mean, Toronto's banged up right now. There's a lot of injuries going on there. But that's it. I think the boys are rolling, and I got another big game. As this podcast will be out Wednesday, which means there'll be another game tonight against the Flames. So looking forward to getting that in, and then hopefully the Leafs can turn it around after that the big loss against Calgary on Monday night. The Raptors are rolling right now. Me and Brian actually talk a little Raptors and a little bit of NBA, of course, throughout the interview. Raptors got it right back on track. It's very exciting to see. Kyle Lowry's been out. Fred VanVleet's just been lighting it up. I mean, this guy went undrafted and he just signed a huge contract, and just one of the great stories out of the NBA. The Blue Jays are spring training is starting to get rolling here. It's going to be very interesting to see how the MLB season plays out. Hopefully the COVID stuff kind of lays low and get a good season in, because nothing better when the boys of the summer are back, and the Jays are looking great right now. There's a lot of young prospects in that pool, so I'm really looking forward to that. Yeah, other than that, kind of here in Newfoundland, we're just locked down again. It's a really blustery day out there today, and looking forward to heading up around the bay here now the weekend and taking in the sights and sounds. I actually managed to get out on a pond here this morning and went out for a little push. Finally, the ponds have frozen over here, so nice to get out and get some fresh air. Other than that, that's pretty much what's going on here. A lot of people have told me they like hearing the little intro and kind of some news that's going on within the community. So I like to give that my little 2 cents there as much as I can. Other than that, make sure you stick around for a great interview with Brian Aylward. Like, this guy is super, super funny, and his stories are incredible. And I really, really enjoyed it. I hope you guys too. And for anybody who maybe is a first-time listener, you can find these podcasts. They're available on YouTube and Spotify, Apple Music. Obviously, there's just audio versions on Spotify and Apple Music, but the video versions will be on YouTube, so try to do kind of bit of both, and so you can sit down and watch it, or if you're just driving somewhere and you want to listen to it. So other than that, make sure you stick around. There's a great interview coming up with comedian Brian Aylward. Ladies and gentlemen, he's a former Canadian Comedy Award winner for the Best Stand-Up Comic. He's been nominated for Best Comedy at Fringe World in Perth, Australia. He's performed in Vietnam, Singapore, Japan, Malaysia, Cambodia, India, Hong Kong, China, Indonesia, Thailand, Mongolia, and then some. A former winner of Serious Canada's Top Comic, he's headlined Canadian Yuck Yuck Clubs, performed at Just for Laughs Halifax Comedy Fest, Hong Kong International Comedy Fest, and the Magners International Comedy Festival. Ladies and gentlemen, from Thailand right now, welcome Brian Aylward to the podcast. How you doing, Brian, man? Thanks for coming on today.
What are you at, little Whitty? I performed in Port Basque and Dildo too.
How you doing, man? What's going on? What's happening? How you making out?
I'm actually I was looking forward to your call, man. I'm having a cup of tea now. Me and Holly are listening to Open Line.
You're listening to Open Line. You're in Thailand right now, and it's. I'm recording right now. It's 10:30 here about Newfoundland time, Monday morning. So what time is it in Thailand right now?
About 9:30.
And you're listening to Open Line.
Yeah, man. You got
some nice bedtime activity.
Oh, buddy, it's the funniest shit ever. A guy just called in and said, Petty, if I'm in the mall walking around farting and you breathe that in, can you get COVID? I'm like, made my fucking day, man. Made my day.
Oh, man. Open Line is classic.
Classic.
You get the most hilarious, people from Newfoundland. It's all walks of earth who call in. It's, you never get the sensible person calling in and, talking about a car accident. So maybe to avoid this part of the highway, it's like you say, some fellow talking about if he farts in the mall or the airport or something like that, right?
Half the people are calling COVID.
Oh man, I die at that too. That's so funny. Kovic, yeah, that's hilarious. So for anybody who doesn't know, obviously Brian Aylward, he's a fantastic comedian. He's in Thailand right now. Brian, like how long? What have you've been a comedian for how long? Like, and how long have you been living in Asia for a number of years? So maybe just give a little rundown on what you've been up to for maybe the last decade, even in a short way.
Sure, man. Yeah, I've been a comedian now for 15 years, since 2005, on my 16th year. Yeah, I lived in Asia for 13 years, since 2003. So out of those 18 years, I've spent 13 in Asia. I performed, I think it's now like over 3,000 shows in 29 countries. And I'm based out of Bangkok now. My wife, Holly, who's from Mount Pearl, she teaches at international school here. And I'm just based out of Bangkok and tour around the world from here.
Nice, man. So obviously, like with everything going on with the lockdowns and stuff, like what's kind of been the situation with you in Thailand with regards to with COVID and have you been performing at all or how's that been working?
Yeah, it's hit or miss, man. I mean, in the beginning, we were locked down big time for 97 days. Me and Holly were just locked up here in the condo. And we stayed strict with it, man. We were like, whatever, we'll do what we got to do. And we're still together, so that's a good thing. I mean, dude, I was literally like losing my mind. I would walk around my condo building at night just to move, just to get a bit of exercise, like a friggin' prison inmate,
Right.
And then it was kind of shut down, then it wasn't, then it was, then it wasn't. So it's been a bit of a mind fuck. Right now, they're just opening up again, live performance. You're not allowed to serve alcohol. You got to be shut down by 11. There's rules. But I mean, honestly, I stopped really performing last March, middle of March, and I've only done about 24 decent shows since then, which is nuts.
Wow.
Yeah.
So like how has the country kind of been handling it? Has it been like people are kind of abiding by the rules or how's that kind of worked?
Yeah, Thailand's kind of amazing that way because, I mean, technically it's a military dictatorship, right? So, they're pretty strict here. They can be. But people here are also generally polite, and the wearing of masks is not a big deal. A lot of people do that anyway.
Yeah, that seems pretty natural, I would say, in that part of the world, kind of.
Yeah, man, because of the pollution. And in Thailand, they do a lot of stuff. They burn a lot of natural waste and sugar cane and stuff. So there's a lot of pollution there. So people just generally people are generally, I think, more polite. They're not just, it's not as arrogant as the North American culture, people just help each other out. And actually, right. Vietnam was one of the best in the world. We border with Vietnam, and Thailand's done a pretty good job too. I mean, in terms of the country and the amount of people, I mean, it's one of the best models for the world, apparently.
Oh, cool. Very interesting.
So, yeah. A pretty good job, but but that's because they locked down everything. So
of course. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, no, I hear you. So obviously you've been keeping pretty low key and just trying to. I guess you're doing a bit of writing and stuff like that, or doing.
That's all I can do.
I know we were chatting a bit. We were chatting a bit previously. You said you're doing some Zoom calls and I know stuff like that. Like what's that entail?
Dude, garbage. Good comedy shows on Zoom, just hot garbage. Right? It's just horrible.
Speaking of hot garbage, what's the temperature right now?
Buddy, it's about 34 degrees. I'm on my deck right now. Actually, I tried this for the first time. I thought I tried out here with the old Zoom. Like, as you can see, I'm starting to sweat. I got the thing, but yeah, man. Yeah, it's all right. But yeah, man, I had to cancel everything last year, right? Like Best Kind Comedy Tour back home. I had a tour to the Middle East. I had to cancel. I had a tour to New Zealand and Australia. I had to cancel. Damn. And because the quarantine rules are crazy, right? If you come back in,
I thought my gig in Gander getting canceled was going to be bad.
Oh, listen, nothing wrong playing Legends, my son. Nothing wrong playing Legends.
Listen, man, I want to dig into some of your comedy stuff, but I want to ask you a few questions, about growing up and stuff like that. Like both of us are from Mount Pearl. We grew up together in the same town. Obviously you're a little bit older than I am, but you were friends with my brother. You coached my brother in basketball, I believe, as a young, and me as well. I was kind of a part of that as well. But
Python, a Mount Pearl legend of Python. Yes, I remember you. I coached.
I wanted to ask you that. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I coached Mark in grade 8. I suppose I was only about 19, 20 at the time. He was grade 8, and yeah, I remember your mom used to come to games a lot, and you were just this little pipsqueak walking around, follow Mark everywhere. And we let you hang out, and yeah, it was beautiful, man. What we did with that team with the boys.
Do you remember the time? Do you remember the time I got subbed into the game by any chance? There was a game that happened. Totally. Like what a punch in the face for that other team. Like
that was
we're just gonna sub in one of the boys' little brothers here now, and we're gonna put him in Pascal Parsons size 11 sneakers.
Yeah, but you're about the same size as Pascal, except for the shoes.
Fair enough. So yeah, like growing up in Mount Pearl, Brian, like. I want to ask you about how you got started in comedy. I know the answer to that. I know where that kind of came from because we're friends and I've followed you for a number of years. But I do want to ask you, like stuff was funny in Mount Pearl. Like, you know, your group of friends, like I remember sitting around a lot of times, like with you and like Sean Courtney and these guys, and literally pissing myself laughing, like over nothing, man. It could have been anything, just nonsense. Is that some of the reasons like that got you started in comedy, was these people that you grew up with who were just so naturally funny, you know?
Yeah, I think ultimately, man, I mean, it's something I always wanted to do growing up. But I mean, you know, I grew up in the 80s in Newfoundland, so it's like there was no stand-up, right? I mean, Codco was on the go, but we didn't even know what that was. I mean, growing up in the Pearl, when you're a kid, going to St. John's, like going to New York City, right? You're like, St. John's, Jesus, we're way out there. And so we didn't even think about it, but it was always in the back of my head. I used to love David Letterman, but I just put it on the back burner, right? And but me and Courtney, I mean, you know, Courtney, my best buddy growing up, and Jamie, his brother. I mean, Jamie Courtney's the funniest person I know, I think.
Oh, absolutely, man. I agree.
Right?
Yeah.
He's fucking hilarious. And you know, I mean, we would do stuff, but we didn't look like now everyone got TikTok and Instagram and all this stuff. Back then, we just did it to make each other laugh. I mean, we'd watch Codco and then we'd throw on Sean's mom's clothes and go mad. And I had this old horny grandmother character I used to do, and then we do other characters. And we just did it for a laugh.
But to me, that's the most raw and true form of comedy. Is you're not doing it to put on a show. You're just doing it to get a rise out of your buddies. And I mean, that's a big part of Newfoundland culture in itself. You know what I mean? Is you're trying to keep yourself busy, if not anything. So you're just doing it. You're taking jabs at yourself and you're taking jabs at your buddies. And I mean, that was the name of the game. It's still like that here, you know?
Yeah, and especially no internet, right? There's no internet, so what could you do? You had to, you know, like throw mud balls at cop cars and then try to do something else, you know?
I was at the cabin. I was at the cabin this weekend. I was chatting with my brother Mark, who obviously, you know, we all grew up together. And Mark was I was telling him that I was getting together with you for a little chat on Monday, and he said you got to ask him about a couple things that I want you to talk about on the podcast. One, he said cheese darts. I want you to explain cheese darts to the people at home.
First time I've been asked that. I love it. Well, it's a white trash Mount Pearl classic game. Again, this is back in the day before you had all the computers and all the fancy stuff, and you know, you might not have had a lot of money, so all you needed was some processed cheese and a set of tits. And what you did, man, you lined up next to each other. You took your shirt off. Very homoerotic, by the way. Just all the bars. All the boys take out, and at the time we're about 13, 14, whatever. And
everyone's got two hairs on their chest.
Yeah, right. We take off our shirts. You had to stand up kind of tit to tit, take 10 paces back, almost like gunslingers. And what you do, you throw processed cheese at each other, like take your turns. And if it's stuck onto your nipple, you get a point, and that's how you play. And that was a good time for you know, closeted gay boys back in Mount Pearl in the 80s.
Another game he mentioned was there was a sandwich game. Are you familiar with the sandwich game?
Sandwich game.
He said something about going into somebody's house and making a sandwich.
Oh, Jesus. I'm not telling that one.
Okay, we'll leave that one. We'll leave that.
Yeah, I can't tell that one.
Okay, we'll leave that one. And there was also a sleeping bag game. I don't know if you want to talk about that one either.
The sleeping, by the way, the sandwich game wasn't the game, but the sleeping bag game was, the sleeping bag game was just, again, dude, stupid shit. Like, we would literally wrap each other up wrap one of us up in a sleeping bag, right? And grab both ends with two guys and just run as fast as we could, like down the road, like with someone in a sleeping bag. And that was it. That's the game.
Oh, that's wicked. That's so funny. So, like, obviously you weren't doing any stand-up comedy or even any comedy for that matter, like, you know, kind of growing up in Mount Pearl. It's just kind of funny shit with your buddies, like just carrying on and stuff. But I know basketball was a huge part of your life as well. Like, you coached my brother in basketball, and I know you're still a huge ball fan. You know, you always see your posts and stuff about the Detroit Pistons, hilariously enough. But that's what I wanted to ask you is, you moved to Detroit, I think, in high school or just after high school, I believe.
Just
you were playing
after, yeah.
Dude, what was that like? What was that like?
I was a big basketball guy. I started playing when I was like 12. I actually remember because I was playing hockey, and I was never good enough, man. I couldn't skate. My parents didn't put me in power skating, right? So I'm out there skating on my fucking ankles. Can't make the blades, right? Pissed off, right? All I wanted was a blade checker, right? Try to get, you know, so I get some pussy, finger someone down by the field. And you know what I mean? This is back in the 80s, man. It's what we did. And so I just, like, I couldn't do it. And I remember Mr. Suley, Gary Suley, came into a classroom and he talked about Crush basketball. This thing called Crush basketball.
I remember Crush. Yeah, I still got the plaque. I still got the plaque at home, I think.
Yeah, and it was $5. That was it. And I was like, I got $5. I get $5 allowance every Friday, right? So that's what I did. I took my allowance and I entered the league, and I was a pretty athletic kid. So I got pretty good at it quick. And that's all I was looking for, I think, is a bit of attention. And so I got good at it. And then I went to the courts, what we call the courts there at Newtown and Mount Pearl, the Grants courts.
Mm-hmm.
And I started playing, and a couple of older players took me under their wing from senior high, like Dave Strange, guys like that. And I played every single day all summer between grade 7 and 8. And then came back in grade 8 and was the start of the team, just kept going, loved it. And all I wanted to do then was play in the States, right? Like, everyone else was going to Mun and Acadia and all this, and that's awesome too. But I was like, no, man, I'm going NCAA, man, NCAA, first Newfoundlander, NCAA. And I read an article, actually, a Sports Illustrated article. Gary Payton was on the cover. I remember that. That's why I got it. Oregon State Player of the Year in college. And it was me and Courtney, right? Me and Courtney read the magazines all the time. And there was an article in there about a coach, Coach Kelso. It was called A Lesson in Survival. It was about a 10-page article, right? Real big article. About how this guy beat all the odds, he's from Alabama, he literally would bathe himself in the Tennessee River. He made his way to Michigan, ended up making the Pistons, became a legend, ended up being a high school coach, right? And legendary high school coach. They were 3-time state champs. Anyway, he talked about how he'd help players get into college and kind of help them better their lives. And I'm like, I'm going there. I'm going to get him to Colin, right? So, dude, I literally kept this article in my pocket because this was grade 11 when I read it. I kept that article in my pocket for a year. I don't even think I told anyone this before. I just had it. It was just, I don't know. I'm just a weirdo like that. I'm a big dreamer, a big weirdo. And then I decided to call him. I had a job at a gas station and Mount Pearl Ultramar. And I said, I'm going to call.
Pipeline.
And I had to call. Yeah. I had to call directory assistants, get the number for Cooley High School, get a hold of Coach Kelso. Anyway, long story short, I called him. He's basically like, if you're nuts enough to come down here, I'll have a look at you. And I hopped on a plane and I saved up for a month or so and bought a ticket to Windsor, Ontario, right at the border with Detroit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he picked me up at the airport in Windsor. And again, long story short, I ended up playing ball inner city Detroit at Cooley High School for a year.
Wow. What was that like? What was that experience like? Like, just even not the basketball itself, but just the overall experience of being there and in that. It must have been so different, obviously, coming from Mount Pearl. You know what I mean? What a culture shock that must have been.
I was so naive, man. I literally was like, who wants to play basketball, friends? You know what I mean? I was literally I didn't realize I was going, because I've been researching this because I'm writing a book about some of the crazy shit I've done since high school. And I found out later it was the #1 ranked most dangerous neighborhood in America at the time by the FBI.
No way.
Yeah, East side Detroit, Cass Quarter. That's where I lived. I actually played on the Northwest side, but it was crazy, but I loved it. I mean, I got to play with guys who were in the NBA, some of the best players in the country. But I mean, it was definitely some crazy shit. I mean, I knew people who got shot and stuff like that. Come from Mount Pearl, it's like, boys, you're supposed to get in a fist fight at McDonald's, right? You're not supposed to kill each other, right?
You're just asking the boys to go out and play a game of 21s or something, right? There's a 4-person homicide the night before at the same basketball court.
Yeah, so that kind of stuff was because I remember one guy actually got killed at lunchtime. We were all just at this chicken joint, and they were just like, yeah, he's dead now, and just kept, back home, school to be shut down for a week, to be grief counselors, nobody. And so it was, but it was also awesome. I mean, some of the stuff I look back into now, I mean, I met a lot of great people. Detroit's an amazing city. To this day, I love soul music. I love the blues.
Is that why you remain a Pistons fan? Was that part of it, or were you a Pistons fan before that?
I was a Pistons fan before that, actually, because of Isaiah Thomas, my favorite player back in the day.
Right.
Still my favorite player, best player under 6'5" ever. Yeah, man, and that was just a fluke. It's funny, actually. It was either that and another Sports Illustrated article I read. There was a guy named Father somebody. He was a priest down in Philly, and he was doing the same kind of thing. He was helping young boys get into college, and so I was thinking of either one. But I called Kelso first and went there first. If that didn't work out, I was going to call Father, whatever, touchy, and go to Philly. And yeah, right. But yeah, Detroit worked out, man, and I did it.
No, that's pretty neat, man. That was one thing I always took out of watching Mark and his group of friends. Those guys, my brother Mark, those guys stuck together since they've been friends since they're in grade 2. They grew up playing basketball, but to them and something I watched from you guys was basketball was such a culture. It was like life. You know what I mean? To those guys, they did everything together. They slept, bread, they ate, everything revolved basketball and being together. That camaraderie and that friendship was a big part of their growing up.
Yeah.
And, you know what I mean?
Yeah, man. I think we got lucky. I mean, at the time, me and Sean Courtney, right, my best buddy growing up. I mean, we were we were obsessed with it, and we looked at it as an opportunity. At the time when I was coaching your brother, I think I was about 20, and basically what it was all out of revenge, man, because senior high had beaten us in high school. They were the best high school team to ever exist, and we were like, fuck that, like let's start our own kind of crush basketball. So that's what we did. So me and Courtney went back to actually St. Peter's Primary,
That's right,
St. Peter's Junior High, and started camps. Like I actually started my camp called Hoop Squad. And that's what we said, because we said if we build them up grade 3, 4, 5, by the time we get to high school, we'll be the next kind of dynasty, right?
right.
And I think we just got lucky with some good kids, and me and Sean did it right. You know, we like just helping the kids. Like I just like, because we had rules, like if you got, you know, if you were a C student, you were off the team till you got a B in your next test. Like we really tried to help the boys just be better, you know, because you know what it's like, little lunatics running around, just trying to help the boys be better. And
yeah, but you know what?
To this day, I'll say this. To this day, it's still my favorite thing, man. Like all the boys are still in touch. They go to each other's weddings. They're all great friends. When I'm home, I'll see most of them. It's awesome, man. I love it.
Yeah, no, exactly. You know, one thing I always noticed about that was, I know you guys were the coaches, and obviously you were like, you know, Sean was Jamie's older brother, who you coached and stuff like that. But you were hard like that on, especially with the schoolwork, and you wanted to make sure everyone was going about it the right way. But you were also buddies. You were also friends. Like, you know what I mean? It was also about the camaraderie and being like you didn't want someone to be scared of you or anything like that. Scared, you know, you wanted people to be your friends as well. You want to be able to come to you and confide in you, that kind of stuff, right? That's a huge part of it.
We were young too, right? We were young. We were only 5 or 6 years old.
Yeah, you guys are only kids as well, like, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I remember Sean Courtney. I'll tell this, Courtney, because I'll get Courtney back for this bastard. I was all serious, right? So I started this because what was Mun were running camps. They were too expensive, and a lot of the kids couldn't go because they were just $150, $200, whatever. So I thought I'd start, you know, I was like, I'm good enough. I know what I'm talking about. Let me start these camps called Hoop Squad. And I think I might only charge like $15, $20 in the beginning. And it was just like, I'll just show you. I'll do what Mun does. Just we'll do it here in the gym. And I got Courtney to help me out, and maybe another person or two. And so I was all, you know, all full of myself, like, oh, this is going to be awesome, right? This is going to be the new thing. And so Courtney comes out first 5 minutes of the first Hoop Squad camp, right? And he's nervous as fuck, right? Because we're all taking ourselves too seriously. And Courtney's like, hey, boys, listen, the first thing you got to do if you're playing basketball, you got to learn how to dribble the fucking ball. I'm like, did you just curse, dude? Did you just curse? And you know Courtney, right?
How old are these kids?
Well, the boys were like 13, right?
Right,
so
okay.
It wasn't that bad because, I mean, they're all
sure.
saints anyway. But still, you don't want to be at it, right?
Of course, yeah.
And you know Courtney's an absolute fool. So then, like, during the break, during lunch, I'm just eating lunch on the stage, right? Waiting to start up again. All the boys come running out the bathroom like, I'm like, what's time to go now, right? Like day one, I'm like, fuck's sake, right? So I go in, look in the toilet, looks like a big lump of shit, right? Or what happened? So Courtney pretended to reach into the toilet and grab shit in his hand and tell the boss, who shit in the toilet, and didn't flush it, right? But what he was doing day one of camp. But what it was he took a walnut crunch and threw it in the toilet and pretended it was a piece of shit. And all the boys, so when he reached in and picked it up and squished it in his hand, the boys just fell out and ran.
Yeah, that's.
And I got mad at him. I actually got mad at him. I was like, "What the fuck are you doing, man?"
Yeah. But hilariously enough, you got a story to tell like that.
Yeah, hilarious.
So moving along, you went to university or college, I believe. Did you get a degree in? Did you go to you went to university?
Yeah, I went to university. I played JUCO ball in Ohio for a minute, and then I ended up coming back to Canada when my dreams were starting to fail, and went to Cape Breton University, played ball there because I'm like, I got to get a degree now. I was like 23 at the time. I hadn't graduated. I'm like, oh, I need to buck up now. So I just came back and finished up in Cape Breton. Wanted to be closer to Newfoundland. Mm-hmm. And I got a degree in community studies, which is absolutely useless. And
what kind of jobs do you get with community studies?
You get to study the community, right? You just walk around and just take things in.
So before you moved into the comedy and you really took that plunge, like what were some of the stuff that you were doing to pay bills? Like what kind of jobs were you working to keep yourself occupied?
Dude, what was I at? Well, I got a wipe here now. It's 34 degrees here now, 10 o'clock at night.
That's all right, man. It's minus 15
I was doing
here.
Anything. So. I was doing anything. I mean, when I graduated, I literally, my girlfriend at the time was playing pro ball in Australia, and I was like, I'm going to be a man now and get a job, buy a house and all that. And so I went out to Alberta and did the whole rig pig shit. I was a roughneck for a minute. And then I ended up working at, then I hated that. I hated it. Right. I mean, the work was bad enough, but I mean, the mentality was even worse.
Yeah.
And And then I just ended up getting a random job through a person I met. I had no business having it, like just taking care of people with disabilities. And but back then there was no like, you know, it wasn't like fetal alcohol syndrome or autism. It's like something wrong with him. Just take care of him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what? I didn't know what I was doing. I was walking random people on leashes through the park in Calgary. And I'm just like, what the fuck, man? Like, I'm not even joking, Dave. Like, that was my job. Like, I was walking this girl one time. Now I look back, realize she had fetal alcohol syndrome, but she wore a helmet. She loved basketball, which is awesome because I'd be out in the park with her. And one day we're walking in Stanley Park in Calgary, and I got her on a leash, right? Like, so she's, you know, she's having a rough time going, right?
Christ.
And dude, she like a couple was coming towards us with a baby carriage, and she punched into the carriage just unprovoked. And the fucking people flipped out, right? They're like, whatever. And I'm supposed to take out a card and go, listen, call my supervisor. And Buddy wants to kill me, right? I'm like, Buddy, like, obviously she's not doing well, right? She got a helmet on. I got her on a fucking leash, right?
You're making $6.25 an hour. Like, okay.
I was making $9.50 an hour, and I thought that was amazing.
Oh,
and,
man.
I did that for a couple of years, and had another guy would just jerk off in public. Yeah, we'd be riding bikes, and I'd turn around, he'd be just busting out on Mrs. Flowerbed. Not even joking. And I had to come back and get the card. Like, here, take my card. She's like, what in the Jesus is he doing? I'm like, he loves your flowers, missus. He loves them. Like, I did anything. I worked at a liquor store. I was a security guard of an abandoned building. Doing everything.
So
yeah.
what was the mindset behind?
I'll tell you this. That's how it happened. Then I remembered my last year of college in Cape Breton. Some people came by talking about ESL, teaching ESL in Asia, right?
Right. That's what I was going to ask you. Yeah.
And so I had that in the back of my head, right? And I was like, it seemed cool. They were talking about Japan. So I looked into it, found out Japan was really expensive, and then somehow found out about Korea, which was like a more cheaper option. And I was like, you know, just out in Alberta, just spinning my wheels, just going nowhere. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going. Broke up with my girlfriend. So I'm like, you know what? I'm getting out of Dodge, man. Fuck this. And I just moved to Korea, man. I just picked the first job they offered me. And that's how I ended up in Asia. That was 2003.
Wow. Incredible.
And I ended up spending like 7 years in Korea. And I got started doing comedy in Korea as well. So that's how that all got going. Comedy.
So you were teaching over in Korea when you first moved over. How long were you at that? Like, that must have been just, I mean, once again, that must have been just a culture shock in itself. Like, I mean, as Newfoundlanders, we speak a weird type of English anyway. So imagine going over, you know, and trying to teach that to people. So like, what was that about?
Newfoundlander teaching English. Yeah, it was all right, man. I mean, it was definitely culture shock. But I just, I loved it though, man. Like, I love Korea. I ended up spending 6 years there. And I taught kindergarten too. I mean, I didn't know what I was at. I mean, I coached kids before at that age, but they just threw me in. I had no idea what I was at. I just learned on the fly. And I ended up doing 6 years and
wow.
Started comedy halfway through that. And then, yeah, just started going with the comedy then.
Yeah, and that's kind of where it's led me. So maybe for anybody who doesn't know you or who listening maybe for the first time, is like, what got you? There's a real story behind what got you actually started in comedy. I'm sure you've told this 10,000 million times, but maybe let my folks listen to let them know what kind of got you started in comedy.
For you, little Whitty, I'll do a 10,000 million one.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, man, on a bet with my ex. She was a smoker, and I didn't like that she smoked. And I was like, you know, if you quit smoking, I'll do comedy. Because I was always talking about, like I said, I was into Letterman growing up, and I loved comedy. I just never did it, but it never left me. I always wanted to do it. I just never had the balls. I mean, I used to be in comedy clubs. I was in comedy clubs in Toronto, Montreal. I was signed up on the list, and then when they were like Brian Aylward, I was like, I look around, pretend no, I wouldn't even do it. I did that 3 or 4 times because I was too scared. Anyway, so honestly, I was so scared, man. I didn't think she'd quit. I thought, she's not going to quit. I don't got to worry about this. And she did. And I was like, fuck. And there was an open mic on Friday. It was just basically a bunch of teachers and U.S. Marines. There's a lot of U.S. Marines. And I went out to a really rowdy bar, about 150 people. And I went up and just supposed to do 7 minutes, ended up doing like 15, just ranting and raving, going mad. And I mean, it wasn't very good, but I instantly got over the fear. Instantly. I'll never forget it, man. I literally was walking off the stage over all these wires. And I just remember thinking, like, that wasn't that bad, man. Why was I so scared?
Right.
I've been so scared of this. And then literally, I was 31 at the time too, dude. Like, I was old, right? To get started. And I was like, fuck this. Like, I'm always a full tilt kind of guy, right? Like, you know, I was supposed to play in the NBA, so why not be the one of those agents, right?
Go at it or go home. Yeah, I like it.
That's it, man. That's who I am. And I moved to Toronto 2 months later and just had a bunch of sports jerseys actually and sold them on the side. And then that allowed me not to have a job, right? So
I got one. I got a Vlade Divac's Lakers here.
Yeah, baby. Yeah, so I had a jersey hustle going, and that kept me. That allowed me to go to open mics every single night in Toronto for a year.
Right? Where was that? Where was that when that, say, the bet happened? Where were you living, or where were you at the time?
I was in Anyang, South Korea, which is like a satellite city of Seoul.
Oh, right. So you decided to move back to Canada after that to do the comedy, or?
Yeah, because there was no real comedy there. I mean, I was literally going up after rock bands at 12 o'clock.
Sure, right.
And just garbage, right?
I hate going up after rock bands at 12 o'clock playing music. I can't imagine trying to do a bit.
When I go up, there'd be a guy shredding on top of the pool table, right? And then they'd be like, Brian, I go up there and tell them my shitty dreams, right? And just eat complete pile of shit. It was garbage, man. And so I was like, fuck this. I don't know if you know, but like New York City, London, England, and Toronto are basically the meccas of comedy in the world, right? Mm-hmm. So I was like, got to move to Toronto, right? I'm Canadian, let's go there. And I moved there for a year and just went pretty full tilt with it. Ended up getting married, and this is my ex now. And moved back to Korea because we wanted to make some money. So we moved back to Korea, but I wanted to keep doing the stand-up. So what am I going to do? So I started a thing called Stand Up Seoul, which I
was going to ask you about Stand Up Seoul. Yeah, you started up that in Seoul, and is that still? Is this? I'm assuming it's probably not still going on now, just with COVID.
Well, and stuff like
that. Okay, cool. Yeah, but that was the thing. That was what you started up. Yeah, what was that about?
Yeah, it was the first. Well, I just thought once I got back there, I thought there got to be other people like me that want to give this a go, right? And so now I've been doing it about a year and a half. I wasn't good still, but I thought I was, right? I was that idiot. And so I started a room. It was a Canadian bar called Rocky Mountain Tavern. I knew the buddy, and I went to him and said, hey, Jamie, let's start something here, man. So we did. And right away, man, we had like 9 or 10 people trying it. We had about 40, 50 people show up. And then it just kept going, and it became a thing. And then long story short, I mean, we ended up bringing over comics from all over the world. I tour Korea now regularly. Like I used to tour Korea. Like I would do 15, 20 city tours of Korea years later. And it kept going. So when I left it in the next kind of person, most capable person's hands. They kept kind of leaving it because it's a very expat community, right? People are coming and going.
Sure, yeah.
So it's been left to a bunch of different people, but there's still a little bit, not as much as it used to be, but it's still going. Like I was actually supposed to go there on tour in December, but because of COVID, whatever. But yeah, man, we're pretty proud of that because
that was a lot of like amateur comedians coming up, say people who were kind of trying to do the same thing as you, maybe just give it a shot, or were you booking people? Or
that's
both?
all it was. Yeah, there was just a bunch of amateurs. But what's great from that now, there's like 3 or 4 of us that are pros now, based from that scene that we started.
Oh man, that's incredible. Really cool.
Amazing, right?
Something to be proud of, man. That's amazing.
Yeah, dude. It was we just, again, lucky, man. We just good people just got together, and it just made sense.
Yeah, right. Awesome. No, that's amazing, man. A couple other things I wanted to ask you about. Obviously, I want to ask you about, like, you do some extensive touring, through Asia. Like, you got a new special out. I want to ask you about that in a little bit. I will dig into that a little bit, but like, what's it been like touring through Asia and stuff? Like, I mean, I've listened to a bunch of your bits. I've watched your special. Like, how you find like your jokes translate? Like, how does that work for you? Did you find that tough transitioning? Like, did you find that what's the word I'm looking for? Like, did your jokes translate at first when you started? Yeah. Like, how did that work?
Yeah, I mean, in the beginning, no, but that's what happened, right? So I've been touring Asia now since like 2007, right? So a lot of these countries I've been to multiple times. I think I've done like 21 countries now in Asia alone.
Incredible.
And like a couple of thousand shows. So I've gone to places like Singapore like 8, 9 times, Indonesia, Mongolia, like crazy, right? Mm-hmm. So I got familiar with these places every time I went. So I learned more, like, this works here, this doesn't work here. Right. So, now I'm like, my 13th, 14th year of touring. And so I decided to record a special because there's a guy in Mongolia. It's kind of amazing. He went to LA and he started a comedy store in LA, which is a world-renowned comedy club. He came back to Mongolia, Ulaanbaatar, which is the capital city, and he built a comedy club just like the Comedy Store.
Oh, cool.
Like, it doesn't have the multiple rooms that the Comedy Store has, but it has the one room. It's beautiful. And so I played it. I was one of the only English-speaking comics to ever play it. I heard about it through a buddy of mine. Went over there, loved it. The hospitality was off the charts. I fell in love with Mongolia, dude. I was loving it. And so I decided to met a film crew there. And so I said, fuck it, let's do this special. I went back like 8 months later and recorded my special, Big in Asia.
Yeah. And the special, man, is absolutely hilarious. Like I watched it. I watched it a while ago and I loved it, man. I thought it was so funny, but just the weekend I listened to the audio version again when I was driving out to the cabin because I just wanted to refresh myself on it. Man,
Yeah.
I almost went off the road, dude. I'm laughing so hard at it. Like,
That's silly.
just really good bits in there, man. So comical. And what I love about your comedy, man, is you really mix in a lot of like real life kind of stories on top of, I'm sure there's a bit of fiction in there as well, you know, to kind of make some bits work really good. But I mean, I love that. I love, you know, you're talking about Jim's snack shop in Mount Pearl, but you're in Mongolia, man. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
But you're making these jokes work, which is, to me, absolutely fascinating. You know, I'm a musician, man. I tour all over across the world, and I play in all kinds of different countries myself. And I know what it's like. Sometimes you're in different places, and like, you know what I mean? I'm not sure if the Joe Bats Arm Longliners, a song about beautiful Fogo Island, is going to work in Mongolia, but like, you know what I mean? It's amazing what you can make work. And I just thought I thought that was really, truly fascinating. Yeah.
I've learned, right? I've learned from touring. I made those mistakes. You know how it is. I bombed all over Asia. I mean, you know, I've eaten shit, piles of it, and I just learned. And I learned to be autobiographical because, I mean, obviously I throw in a, you know, scattered lie here and there because it makes the story better. But you try to stick to the truth as much as you can in comedy, because the further you get away from the truth, the less funny it gets. Honestly.
Yeah, exactly.
You're right. And you know, sadly, you know, funny enough, I guess when you're
had a little breakup there. Sorry about that, folks. I mean, Brian's in Thailand and I'm in Newfoundland. I'm not sure which connection's worse. we were discussing about the, you know, your special Big in Asia, which I think you can buy the video, you know, you can buy the video on YouTube, and you can also stream the audio files as well, right?
Yeah, it's all over the place. It's on iTunes, all this stuff. And it actually comes out March 10th on Amazon Prime.
Oh, wow. That's incredible. Congratulations, man. That's very cool.
Thanks, brother. So that's great. So check out for that. Yeah, it's on all the platforms. I mean, if you just Google my name, Brian Aylward, Big in Asia, or go to Comedy Dynamics website, it's all there. Just Google it and you'll find it. It's on all over the place.
Right. I want to dig into a bit of stuff like, I know last year, I think maybe, I'm not sure if it's 2 or 3 years, you've done the Best Kind Comedy Tour, which is a tour that's features 3 Newfoundland comedians, and you do right across the country. So, you know, what was that like? What was that experience like? And maybe talk about the comedians who you're with, and you know, what they kind of bring to the table as well, especially in the terms of Newfoundland comedy.
Yeah, man. The boys, man, Colin Hollett and Mike Lynch, and shout out to B Mac, man. Brent
Mac, yeah, my buddy too. Yeah, I love Brent.
Yeah, B Mac is the shit. Yeah, man. So I don't know even how it happened. We were just I was doing a bit of a tour across Canada, and Mike Lynch, you know, who everybody knows now with Cecil and Randy and all that. Mike, you know, one of the funniest young guys in Canada. I had a tour called Laugh NL, and I was just doing a few places like Nova Scotia, Alberta. So I had Mike come with me, and we did a few tours, and then Mike started to blow up, right, with the sketch shit and all that. And we started thinking more like we should do kind of our own thing, kind of, you know, and we thought of Best Kind, which is really funny because I came up with the name Best Kind Comedy Tour. And at the time, I never met Brent, so I knew nothing about Best Kind Barbecue or none of it, right?
Sure, yeah.
So that was just fucking hilarious. And then Colin came on somehow. I mean, every Newfoundland show needs a spazzy Bayman, right? And right, so we put Colin on the leash and dragged him with us. And
no helmet or no helmet.
It depends on what kind of day he's having, but it depends if he got his pills or not.
No, the boys are great. Like I know Colin really well, and I know Mike as well, and obviously Brent's a good friend of mine. Brent's after booking me after doing the Best Kind Barbecue and all these, you know, these events with Brent. I'm supposed to be literally driving back from Corner Brook right now because I was supposed to do the Jib Fest. I was supposed to do Jib Fest this Saturday in Corner Brook with Brent, which obviously, you know, everything that's going on in Newfoundland, they axe that. But
Brent's awesome, man. Brent does an awful lot for a lot of artists in Newfoundland, for sure.
He does, so yeah, man. And he's young, you know. Brent's a few years younger than me, but he's been on the scene forever, man. He's been booking rap shows and he does comedy shows. And he's honestly the most pleasant cat on the planet Earth. Like, he's just so positive.
Too pleasant, dude. He's almost too pleasant. It's kind of annoying sometimes on the road, you know.
Yeah.
Wake up and have a coffee in you, and he walks in the room. Hey, I'm like, all right, fuck off now with all this, right? Like, come on.
Yeah. No, I know exactly. He's an incredible dude, man.
I love him.
So, I mean, how many of those did you guys do? You did 2, I think, and the third was axed, I think, because of COVID.
Yeah,
I think,
we got axed. We did 2, and man, it got big pretty quick. I mean, we sold out across Newfoundland like the first time, kind of right away, and then we were like, okay, why don't we try Nova Scotia? Let's try New Brunswick. Let's try Alberta. And I mean, then before you know it, we were doing like a 35-city tour across the country. We did every province except for Saskatchewan, and
fitting.
Yeah, man. I mean, What?
I said fitting.
Yeah, I mean, well, you know, whatever. I'd love to go to the restaurant. Actually, we did Saskatoon once, and I remember we did a holiday in there or something, and that was Dubai said is one of their favorite shows of mine because what happened was the mic. I was headlining the mic cut out, so I went up and the mic cut out, and I was so pissed off I just flipped out for a half hour, right? And I had no mic, and that was Dubai's loved that. I hated it, right? I was like, fuck that. But yeah, it was awesome, man. I mean, we're so lucky, dude. I mean, you know how it is, like when you catch a bit of heat and you're able to do stuff like that, and to be able to tour with your buddies and not be on the road by yourself.
Right. That's a huge, I can imagine that must be a huge difference as a comedian because, you know, I do a lot of solo work myself, but I also have a band and I tour with a band and I tour solo and I know the difference. Touring solo is lonely AF, man. It is, dude, it's a grind. It's a grind, man. You're just out there on the road. You don't have any friends to come back to. You spend a lot of nights in hotel rooms and you're just by yourself. You know what I mean? You get out and do your show and it might be the best show on the planet, but you just go back and sit by yourself. You don't even have anybody to talk about it. It's a huge grind. So
that's it, man. That's how a lot of guys get in trouble, right? And girls. I mean, that's when the drugs come in, the drinking comes in, whatever else. Yeah, man. I mean, it is awesome, like I was saying, but people don't understand. Like afterwards, I mean, you could play a room of 300 people and have the greatest show ever, and then all of a sudden you're standing at a vending machine for 10 minutes trying to make a decision. What kind of snack you're gonna eat by yourself in a room, right? It gets sad quick.
Yeah, after you've just made 300 people explode in a room for 25 minutes or whatever, you know, like it's and you can
we've been lucky because I mean, right away, I mean, we did the convention center like 2 years ago. That was like 1,400 people.
Massive, yeah.
We did CBS Arena, dude.
CBS Arena, yeah.
We do the Keanu Theater in Fort Mac all the time, pack that. That's 600-700. I mean, and it's not always about the big shows. I mean, my favorite are when we add a town and it ends up being awesome. Like I remember a couple of years ago, we added Port aux Basques, and we went to Port aux Basques and the Lions Club there, and it was packed, like 250 people. What a friggin' time! And then a year later, we added St. Anthony, and place like this, Dildo, Bonavista, Vista, and just keeps getting better, man. I love it, and I hope that you know, the fans bear with us. And I mean, it sucks right now, but everyone needs a good laugh, man. I can't wait to get back at it. I miss it so much, man.
Yeah, and I think they will, you know, Brian. It's one of those things. It's like people are still starving for stuff, man. I think even more once this is all, you know, said over, people are going to be even more starving for it because they've been locked down. They haven't got to see any entertainment, or it's comedy or music or theater or whatever it is. People are really going to be inclined to get out, you know. That's one thing I always found. Like you mentioned, you know, adding a show in Port aux Basques. I've done that myself on countless times. Like you add a quick show into, you know, random buttfuck in Ontario, but this place probably doesn't have live music come through all the time or live comedy. So these people are more than grateful to have these things come through their town. So those shows always, they always like hit something special with me as well. Cause it's just been so, people are just so happy to have that. Right.
Yeah. Like you ever play Bonnyville in Alberta?
I haven't, but John Whalen lived there and I've got drunk there.
Great time, man. What a great time. Like some places like that, like it was, what a time, like amazing. Like I can't wait to go back to places like that. And I think so too. I mean, people will, you know, we'll get back to normal, whatever that is. Like people are starting to panic, and you know, Newfoundlanders, they love to exaggerate, right? Like, oh geez, it's never going to be the same. It's the new normal, Sheila. It's the new normal now. Right? The variant. Did you hear about the variant? I was like, shut the fuck up. I was like, it's going to be all right. Just hang tight. Yeah, man, I can't wait to get back at it though. And because you know, every year we do new material, and we're excited to get at it. And the thing, you know, the thing with comedy, like with music, you know, that you get better.
Yes, you know? Absolutely.
So,
yeah.
Well, I mean, if you know they hang with us, it's only going to get better. So I mean, I can't. Hopefully, we can do something this year. We're thinking this year, like if we might still be limited, but we think hopefully if shit can calm down in Newfoundland, we might be able to at least do some shows back home.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
So we're going to try to do some kind of tour this year. We're just not sure what it is yet.
Right. Neat. Yeah. Oh yeah. Hopefully, you know, who knows what this new normal is that people are kind of saying.
Stop it, Sheila. Shut it, Sheila.
I don't know what that means, but you know, me myself, I'm looking forward to getting out on the road and doing some stuff. Is there any way that you've kind of found some positives in this anyway? Like for me personally, you know, I've completely taught myself how to record from home. I've started a new podcast. You know, I do a bunch of different stuff that I would have never, ever dug into because I probably would have been too busy working, to be honest with you. Yeah, and a lot of times I find if I'm doing 5 or 6 gigs a week, scatter time, like I don't want to come home and pick up the guitar. I want to stay away from the guitar for a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, but with this, it's just given me so much free time to adapt and to learn some. Is there anything you've taken positively out of this? Like, has it done anything better for you, or just it's garbage?
Man. I mean, it's been a weird. No, man, it's been a great question, because I think that's the creative people who are going to survive. I think if it showed us anything, like if you're not flexible and you're not willing to change with the times, because things are changing a little bit, whatever that means. Yeah, man. I mean, with me, it was weird in the beginning because, I mean, I started having panic attacks. I don't even know what to call them, to be honest. Like, I was told they were that, but back like in February last year, I would just get overwhelmed for no reason and just end up having to just sit down somewhere. It would just be like a big fat plane crash. I'm like, oh, I'm going down. And that happened.
Speaking of crashes, weren't you recently in a bike accident?
Oh yeah, dude. And then that happened like in October. I got in a motorcycle accident. That's why I'm kind of fidgety here now, because I'm standing outside on my deck. I can only lean on my left leg for so long.
What happened there? What were you driving a motorcycle or?
Yeah, my wife and I were in Koh Chang, which is an island here in Thailand, and we're just having a nice little cool little bike ride, a nice little sunny day along the coastline. And she was on her own bike, and we were going around, like, there was a real hilly area, a lot of blind turns, and I was going around. We were going slow, luckily, and then a just truck came out of nowhere, came around the turn, and just boom, front head on with a truck.
No way, man. Wow,
yeah,
you were very lucky.
I'm so lucky. You know what's even crazier? I mean, I know people might get mad if I say this, but I didn't have a helmet on. But here's why. I should definitely wear a helmet. That was stupid. Literally, we had brunch like about 20 minutes before that, and I'd rented the bike and helmet, right? And the helmet was digging into my fat head, right? So I'm like, I'm taking this off. It's getting on my nerves. And I literally took off the helmet. 2 minutes later, I got hit by the truck. Wow. Dude, I'm so lucky. I mean, it was literally, I had a massive laceration on my leg. Like, my whole shin bone was exposed, all the guts out. I was banged up pretty good. I had a really good foot contusion. My foot blew up twice the size. I had a pelvic contusion. Jesus, dude, even man. Like my dick and balls turned black and purple. I was terrified. I'm like, what the fuck is that? Like, if it stays black and gets bigger, that'd be awesome. But other than that, this is not cool, right? And, yeah, man. I mean, it's day 121, and I'm still only walking about 200-300 meters a day. Sauna, acupuncture, rehab. It's nerve damage, right? So I'm in for the grind with it. And so get back to your question. So, you know, on top of the old COVID, I've had panic issues, I guess, and getting hit by a truck. So, I mean, I've had lots to think about. And I know what the rumors are back home, but trucks are pretty tough, boss. Stay away from trucks.
Yeah, I'd say, especially head on.
So yeah, with me, it was the same thing, dude. I mean, with my special, I learned a lot. Because you know how it is, like, we're both creative, so it's like, I'm shitty at all the fucking administrative stuff, right? I hate it. And, but you got to do it in the beginning, or you got to pay someone to do it, and sometimes you can't afford that.
Exactly.
So with Comedy Dynamics, I had to deal with them, which are like the largest comedy distribution company in the world. So they handle like the Kevin Hart's, Dave Chappelle's, all of them, right? So I mean, I'm absolutely honored to be in their presence. But there's a lot of bullshit, right? A lot of shit you got to do. Contract. So I learned a lot about the business, and then I realized, like, man, like, I had a birthday recently. Like, I'm 47, man. I'm getting old, and like, I realized that I hold back actually too much. Like, people tell me all the time, like, you're kind of wild. I'm half tilt. I haven't even gotten full tilt. But I've decided, you know what, man, fuck this. I'm going full tilt now. And I've started a web series. I'm going to start filming that now this week, actually, because I'm finally able to walk a little bit, called Buddy in Bangkok. So I'm just going to go around in Bangkok and put out like 4 or 5 minute episodes a week, just me getting up to trouble here in Bangkok, having a laugh. And I'm going to do a podcast. I'll put that out in June. So that those are 2 things that I might not have done. Like you said, I would have been busy touring or whatever.
Sure, yeah.
And just the way I'm writing now and the way I'm thinking is just, I've letting go all the bullshit, Dave, because you know what it's like, man. No one gives a fuck.
No one does. You think about it way too much, man. You always catch yourself in your head way too much, thinking about what this person thinks or what this group of people thinks, when really they don't give one fuck. They do not care about what you're doing or what you're up to. They're doing their own thing. They care about what they're at, So yeah, that's a great way to be, and it's a great way to look at it for sure.
People are busy paying bills, trying to keep up, right? So it's like, so the way I've been writing now, and the ideas I have, because I've only been able to get on stage a couple of dozen times, really, in a bunch of months, but I am already, because I'm not holding back anymore, man. Fuck it.
Yeah.
And people like who know me, or actually don't, people who know me know that difference, that I got another level to go to. But some of the crowds probably, think, oh, you can't go kind of more hard than this, but I can go much harder than this, and I'm gonna. and when I say go hard too, it's not about being dirty or none of that, because I'm not a dirty guy. It's just like more my truth, like be the most real I can be.
Right. And I think that you got to be like that. And I think that only makes people better in the long run, no matter what you're at, in regards to any type of art. I think the truest you can be, the truest version of yourself you can be, it's going to be the best version of yourself, in my opinion,
I've done that, dude. I've got a pretty nice website together now. I've started to actually care about my social media, which I didn't really care before. We're starting to get better at that.
Such a huge part of the game, man. Like
huge, man. I'm just, like if I wasn't a comedian, I wouldn't be on any of it, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just a whore myself, but that's part of it, right?
That is.
And so I'm getting better at all that stuff that I didn't. And I got lots coming, man. Like I said, I got the podcast coming out in June. I got the web series coming out April 1st, buddy, in Bangkok. It's going to be great, man, because like it's not really about me. I'm just a vehicle. Like Bangkok's the star. So because people are always asking, like, what's Bangkok like, man? Must be crazy. And I'm going to show people. It's not. It's awesome. Bangkok is way more than you think it is.
Oh man, that's cool. That's amazing. Yeah, looking forward to checking that out myself. Actually,
dude,
man.
all that, right? So web series, podcast, getting hit by trucks, panic attacks, lots of stuff.
All the good stuff. Listen, man, who you think is going to win the NBA championship this year? Who you got? Who you liking this year?
Lakers, man. Lakers. No, if they don't get hurt, if AD is not hurt, Lakers.
Yeah, he's out now. AD's out right now, I think, isn't he, with a leg problem or something?
He's out with a strained calf, so I don't know if they're lying about that or whatever. It looked like worse than a strained calf. They could be lying about that, but yeah, man. If they're healthy, no one's beaten the Lakers 4 times in 7 games. Not even the Nets. Nets don't play no D, man.
Man, what's up with the Nets, man? Like I can't figure them out. I mean, yeah, well, they don't play any D. Yeah,
that's it.
Like I watched the game.
That didn't play defense. No, none.
I watched the game last week, man. I think they lost the game and put up 150. Like,
right, that's who they are. That's who they are.
Which is just insane. I think they lost like 153 to 151 or something like that.
Yeah.
What do you think of the Raptors? Do you watch much Raptors stuff or?
Dude, I watch every day. I'll get honestly. That's one of the things during all this. Honestly, I like because I know I don't play ball anymore, but I still like it. But since the lockdown, since last March for me, I really got back into basketball. I went back to my first true love. And I just watch it every day. Like I'll get up every day and I watch every game before I start writing. I'll just watch highlights of every game, and it just brings me, just makes me feel good.
Yeah.
And I'll just watch highlights all the time. The Raptors, man. I mean, they had a big win to beat Philly yesterday.
Yeah, I know. They started the season 2-8, and I think they had like 14 wins in the last 18 or something like that. Like some crazy stat. They're really.
Boucher with that
Boucher, yeah. Bonjour.
Bonjour, Boucher. And there's rumors now that I don't know if it's going to happen, but they're saying that they're looking at getting Ben Simmons for Pascal Siakam, or bringing in DeMarcus Cousins.
Well, yeah, Boogie, he's on the block. I've seen that. They're not yeah. I mean, there were some rumblings last week there about Andre Drummond, but I mean, I don't know if that has any.
Andre be great, man. He plugs the middle. I mean, that guy.
Big time. Like he's young too, man. He's only like 28. I thought he was like 38. Like,
he looks like that. He looked like that when he was 7.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no. Yeah, no. I gotta say, well, that's one good thing about in Newfoundland. Jesus, we've been lucky, man. We've had the summer and the winter. We've been out just frolicking, doing whatever, because there's been no cases here, but now we're back in lockdown heavy, right? So, but that's one good thing. So sports is on, man. Last time there was no sports. It was like they shut everything down. Sports was shut down. It was just like, all right, I guess I'm going to play video games for the next 4 months, So it's been it's been pretty nice that there's been sports back and stuff like that. I've been following along, especially nice to see the Raptors are getting moving again. And, we got Canada's team, even though they are down in Tampa right now, but that's
it's nice. I mean, it's nice to take the time to, I mean, part of me is like, of course I miss Torn. I missed all that, but it's, it's nice to be here with my wife and not be away for so long. Holly's awesome. Obviously, Holly.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's been nice, but obviously I'm looking forward to getting back on tour. But I've been able to write more. I've written a few scripts, and I got a documentary idea now, a movie idea. So these are things I definitely wouldn't have done if I was on tour.
Right on, man. Yeah.
So
well, listen, man. For anybody,
right?
Yeah, for anybody who's at home who might not know you and want to check out like some of your material or anything like that, like where can folks find you to?
Well, I send most everyone down. I just started a YouTube channel, so I'm going to try to send everybody there. So at Brian Aylward Comedy, and actually at Brian Aylward Comedy on all the platforms, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, at Brian Aylward Comedy. My special Big in Asia with Comedy Dynamics, that's out. So just put Big in Asia, it'll come up. And I'm really proud of it, man. I mean, it was years in the making. And I'll tell you a quick story about it with the the intro, because the intro is amazing. So on the intro, you see it, a guy riding a horse, right? And I was on the horse.
Hilarious. Yeah.
What it was we finished the taping of my special, and I was supposed to do 2 nights. Like, that's usually what you do. You do 2 nights, you chop it up, you make the thing.
Yeah.
But the first night there was a blackout, so 40 or 50 people didn't show up, right? So it wasn't really good enough for a special. So I was like, fuck. So I ended up literally recording a live special. The whole show was from Saturday night. And then I did that afterwards. We go to this really nice cigar bar, sitting there with Holly and the boys from Mongolia, and smoked cigar, drinking wine. And we're going, how are we going to, put the stars and bells on this now? What about the intro? And the guy goes, would you ride a horse? I'm like, fuck yeah, I'll ride a horse, man. And then literally the next day, I hadn't ridden a horse since I was a kid. I don't know how to ride a horse. And the next day he picked us up like 7:00 in the morning. Me and Holly drove us out into the Mongolian mountains, like 3 hours outside of Ulaanbaatar. Had a stunt man, had a whole camera crew. And so stunt man does most of the heavy lifting. So I do a little bit with the horse, and then we got the horse going through the Mongolian mountain. Dude, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, it is. It's funny, man. It's funny.
Their idea, and it makes me laugh because it's for no reason, just cause.
Yeah. No, that's incredible, man. It's I loved it, man. I loved the special, and anybody who's home, definitely check it out, especially if you're locked down, man. What else the fuck you got to
Yeah, man. I mean, check it out.
It's funny, man. It's good Newfoundland, homegrown material, man. It's like supporting one of our guys, and I think you're incredible, Brian. I've been laughing at you my whole life, man. Honestly,
thanks, buddy.
Spending my life laughing at like you. I remember nights being at my parents' place, if mom and them were maybe at the cabin or something, and Mark said, yeah, a few of the boys are coming over, Courtney and Aylward, the boys are coming over. I'm like sitting there like, I'm gonna laugh my fucking ass off tonight, because these guys are just super funny in not only the bits you're right, but you're funny in real life too, man. So
you're a laugher too. You and your brother are laughers, so that's all we need, right? We're such hams, so we got a couple of laughs.
Exactly right. Yeah.
But yeah, man, I'd appreciate that. And people, honestly, like I need you on this one, because you know how it is. If this does well, it's coming out on Amazon Prime, big in Asia, on March 10th. And if it does well, like they'll give me another one. That's how it goes.
Yeah.
And so the support would be amazing. And like I said, big in Asia, and at Brian Aylward Comedy, you can find me.
Right on. Thanks, Brian Aylward. Really appreciate you coming on the podcast today, man. Stay safe over in Thailand, and we'll be chatting with you soon, man. Take care.
Man. Take care, buddy. Later.
Big thanks to Brian Aylward for coming on there. Like I had mentioned previously, just an absolutely hilarious interview. I thought, it was great to hear what Brian's been up to. He's living over in Asia. He's just got crazy stories. His special is so funny, guys. Like, we chat about it in the interview, but it's really, really hilarious. It's coming out March, I want to say 10th on Amazon Prime. Like, that's a huge step for a comedian, and especially a guy from Newfoundland. Like, he's one of our own. So make sure you get out and you check that out. It's super, super funny. Big in Asia. It's I've seen it and I loved it. I thought it was so, so funny. Great to hear, a Newfoundlander and a Canadian tell a few Newfoundland jokes when he's on the other side of the world. Just amazing how he can make his jokes translate and really, really hit over there. It's a really, really neat. I love chatting about his days in Detroit and cheese darts. My God, like, these guys are just so funny coming up with these games, and that's the way it was back then. You just had to kind of come up with something to keep yourself entertained. He makes some very, very good points about, the difference between now and then with regards to social media is it's so different, because there was no social media then. You didn't do this stuff to put on the internet to get likes and comments. You did it just to get a rise out of your buddy, which is, very, very, true. You're really like old fashioned and honest material. It was really, really great. So yeah, big thanks to Brian Aylward. Make sure you do check him out, guys. Like, this guy's just absolutely killing it. He's done the Best Con comedy tour and all that stuff. But he's over in Asia, just absolutely killing it. So by all means, make sure you do check out Brian's comedy special and all his social media and all that stuff. Other than that, make sure you check me out this weekend. Be doing another live feed from my Facebook page where I'll be just singing some songs and having a chat with folks. Big thanks to everybody who's checked out the podcast so far. I've been having a lot of fun doing these, and I've just been really, really enjoying it. Please, if you feel like you're enjoying it as well, please feel free to share this, to your friends or somebody who might enjoy getting a good laugh, especially out of this episode with Brian. Share it on your social media and all that stuff. Make sure you tag me, and big thanks to everybody who's checked it out, and we'll catch you down the road. Peace.